Education and Outreach Committee. So I will go ahead and ask Tanya Fairley, our chair, to get us started.
This is the moderator real quick. Let me go ahead and hit that record button.
Oh, sorry about that.
No worries.
This meeting is being recorded.
Good morning, everyone. Oh my goodness, it's Monday.
Monday after daylight savings.
For roll call, Tanya Fairley. Tanya Fairley.
I think we may have lost her.
This is the moderator. I see Tanya's microphone is unmuted, but I'm not hearing any audio. Tanya, if you are speaking, if you want to change your audio, you can go to the top where it says audio and video and click switch audio and try the call-in option on your phone, and then that should connect your phone's device to your audio for WebEx.
I think Tanya might have logged back in.
Okay, and Tanya, can I get a quick mic check from you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, but can you try speaking one more time? I just want to make sure there's no echo. Oh, looks like there is echo. So I do have you logged in twice. I'm going to mute the computer session, and then if you can just use the mic on the phone.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Is that good? I don't know what happened. It just decided it didn't want me to talk on this Monday when I've lost an hour of sleep.
All right, I think we should be good now.
Okay, let's try this. Let's try this again. Good morning. I'd like to call to roll the Education and Outreach Committee. Please take the roll.
Of course. Tanya Fairley.
Present.
Megan Ellis.
Present.
Reese Isbell.
Here.
Yolanda Jimenez.
Here.
Colette Kavanaugh.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Awesome. Well, this is our first meeting of the year. And as you all know, as we did in the last meeting, it's time to elect a chair. So at this point, I will take the nominations for committee chair.
Tanya, are you accepting re-election?
Yes, I am.
Yolanda Jimenez, I move to elect Tanya or nominate Tanya.
I second.
I accept. Now that we have a motion and a second, we will open it up for public comment.
This is the moderator, and at the direction of the committee, I've opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen or use the raise hand function. I'll pause a moment to allow the public time to access these features and submit their requests. All right, and seeing none, would you like me to close that Q&A panel?
Yes, please. At this time, I will ask Natalie to please call the roll.
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Reese Isbell,
Yes.
Yolanda Jimenez,
Yes.
Colette Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. The motion passes, and thank you. I am looking forward to serving another year. Now to agenda item number 3. Our next item is the approval of our minutes from our last meeting. Do any members have any comments on the minutes, or can I get a motion and a second to approve?
Unless people have comments, I move to approve.
I second.
Thank you, everyone. I will now open up for public comments.
This is the moderator, and at the direction of the committee, I've opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen or use the raise hand function. I'll pause a moment to allow the public time to access these features and submit their requests. All right, and seeing none, would you like me to close that Q&A panel?
Yes, please. Thank you. And I will now have Natalie call the roll.
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Reese Isbell,
Yes.
Yolanda Jimenez,
Yes.
Colette Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, everyone. Discussion and possible recommendation, regarding the text messaging content by licensed scope of practice. Our next item is on the text messaging, and I will turn it over to Christy to provide us with an update.
Thank you. So as you all know, the board did vote to move forward with text messaging program as a way of increasing our outreach. So what we did, we started with a survey to our licensees, and that's the information that we have provided. And then we went out to a vendor to see how we could get this going and the actual costs that were involved. We did have over 11,000 people responded to our survey, which is actually a lot to respond to a survey, but of course a drop in the bucket when it comes to our entire licensed population. So we had, a lot of people were very interested in receiving text messages on a monthly basis. Unfortunately, the cost ended up being much more substantial than what we initially planned. So that's what we wanted to bring back to this committee today. So we have on page 2 of the memo the cost breakdown for 1 year if we considered half the licensed population. So originally we had thought of kind of targeting each licensee, so cosmetology, estheticians, and going on through each target. So we have, we looked at if we did that with 300,000 licensees, our contracted amount would end up being $144,000. Then we looked at a breakdown of just cosmetologists, and we had about 57% of cosmetologists we think they would opt into receiving text messages. And so that's about 111,000 cosmetologists. So that cost alone, you're looking at over $53,000. So that we were a little surprised that it was so much more than what we originally thought. So we wanted to bring this back to the committee to ensure that this is a cost that they feel is necessary. I want to talk that we are in a current fee study right now. We are looking at our fees because we have to determine if our fees are appropriately aligned with what we do. And now that we've lost our practical exam, we've had to do that fee study to make sure that what our exam costs for a re-exam, our cost for an initial license and an initial exam are appropriately lined up. So that fee study is ongoing right now. It's close to being done, but not done yet. Staff's recommendation would be that we hold off on text messaging contract until we know exactly how our fees are going to play out. There could be a situation where we need to reduce our fees because the fees have to be the actual cost to the board. So we can't, charge extra fees to our licensees because we want to do additional outreach. The fees, it's in statute that our fees have to be the cost to the actual board. So our recommendation would be that we delay this process until our fee study is complete, and then we could revisit it at this level. But of course, that's up to the committee if they want us to move forward on this now or what their decision would be.
Thank you, Christy. I just have a couple comments and questions. My first question is regarding vendors. Was this a list of a number of vendors or just one, or is there only one vendor, that kind of thing?
It is, I'll actually ask, I have some staff on the phone. I'm not sure if we did a full bid. Usually you go through a full, I'm looking right now and getting that answer. So it was a limited number of vendors that we looked at. So it would be, we had 2 vendors that we were able to look at, and we didn't have any others that we were able to reach out to.
Okay, thank you. And I'm guessing this was the lower price of the 2.
Yeah. Right.
That's fine. I am in some ways heartened and excited to see so many people who want text messages.
No.
So it's certainly something that it sounds like the community would need, especially when another 90, nearly 90, 86% don't follow us on social media. So it may be a helpful way to get in touch with folks. That said, it is a cost that I don't think we were prepared for. So those are my comments and questions.
I have a question about the vendors. I know that they have to be approved by the state, but is there a vetting process that happens? Because even for, I think it said 11,000 text messages, that still seems that's just quite high, considering even on my side, just knowing what I use and what I pay for 6,000 text messages a month. So what is the process to look at other vendors?
Well, they have to be part of the state contracting system. So we have several requirements that we have to use. They have to be certified small businesses that we have to use. And the vendors that we did look at for this were really our only options. So the state is limited when it comes to vendors for anything that we do, because there's certain requirements we have to follow through the state contracting process.
Well, I would definitely move to say that we table more so because of the dollar amount. I'm with Reese, excited of knowing that there's so many people like, yeah, send me a text message. But that cost just seems to be a lot. It just seems to be abnormal.
Yeah, unless, does anyone else have any comments on this?
I agree with both you, Reese and Tanya, about kind of putting it on hold because the cost is quite exorbitant. I think it would be fantastic to be able to offer this because you can kind of see this is where people are now. This is where they want to be met. So we want to go where people are to get them the information they need. But we do have to outweigh the costs. So it'd be interesting to see what the fee study says. And I don't know if there's a possibility of finding another contract that's not so crazy high.
And I do think it's something that we will internally keep on our list. Once the fee study's done and we've reviewed the budget, I do, there's a good possibility that the board could decide we do want to dedicate $50,000 to this because it could, it's important. So it's definitely something that we will keep on the radar. I do think that we need to finish our fee study and get our budget stabilized first. But we also have a healthy budget. So I do think this is something that will come back, just not right at this minute.
And I think I would encourage continual check-ins with vendors and see if this is abnormal as we think it might be. I'm guessing maybe that some of the contract issues with the state have limited our options. So we have to work with vendors that would have a higher price. And so all good intents and purposes. Unless there are other comments, I move to accept the staff recommendation and table this with more research.
This is Sabina. I think we already had such a motion from Tanya.
Oh, okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Tanya. I thought
you did. We did.
Okay. So we have a motion to recommend to the full board that this be tabled. And really, since it's already with the committee, not much will, the board won't be discussing your tabling of it, but it's always good for our record to have clear direction. So we'll have a second. Reese, did you want to do that?
Second.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you. Next, we will be talking about possible outreach recommendations, and I'll ask Chrissy to go ahead and start that conversation.
Actually, we got to open it up for public comment first.
Oh, well, there we go. I will now turn it over to the moderator to open up for public comment.
This is the moderator, and at the direction of the committee, I've opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen, or use the raise hand function. And it does look like we have a request for comment from Wendy Cochran. And Wendy, you'll be given 2 minutes to speak and a 15-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Hope you are all well and surviving the Northern California storms and things. I feel that this is a good idea to table it for the moment. Most of the people, when I surveyed them in my group, they thought that they were going to be getting text messages regarding the continual changes of all the rules and regulations that the board puts out. And so if these monetary resources were put more towards engaging with the schools and hiring staff that would engage with investigating the schools and getting things back on track there, I feel it would be a lot more prudent use of those funds. Thank you very much.
All right, this is the moderator. It appears there are no further requests for public comment. Would you like me to close that Q&A panel?
Yes, please. Okay, now we'll be turning it over to Chrissy to start the
Not yet.
Oh, the vote. It's Monday. I'm telling you, it's Monday.
Daylight savings.
Okay, we'll go ahead and ask Natalie to take the roll.
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Reese Isbell,
Yes.
Yolanda Jimenez,
Yes.
Colette Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Thank you so much. Christy, are we up
All
now?
right. So on our next agenda item, we wanted to talk to the committee and get any suggestions that they might have, because we want to move forward in increasing our outreach. Aside from text messaging, we still have a lot of avenues that we could do. One of the things that I think we had talked about in the past was doing Facebook Live. Another board here at DCA does those, and I thought it was a great idea. We met with them and they helped us out on how we could do that. We actually think of the WebEx is maybe more user-friendly to engage with people and kind of like town halls. So we're trying to put the schedule together, but we really wanted to hear from our committee members on what you think our topics should be. I can tell you that we're looking to plan our first town hall meeting right now, and we're going to message that around how to be safe in California, basically. So it's going to be a review of our top 10 violations, maybe more than our top 10, and how, we envision a meeting like this, but opened to everyone, and having a Q&A session, showing pictures of violations, and then showing how to make sure that they're corrected. So that's kind of where we were headed with our first event. But we also still are sending out listservs to, which is our email list, so we can target licensees. We can target, let's say, manicurists. We want to send a message only to manicurists. Well, we have a list of all the manicurist licensees of email addresses we have. Of course, we don't have email addresses for everyone, but that's something we're looking at, through regulations. But for now, we do have a lot. I mean, we have over 200,000 contacts with people. So we wanted the committee to just kind of talk about and give us some feedback on what they would see, what they would appreciate seeing coming from the board, and giving us some suggestions on how to plan this outreach program. So go ahead, give us your ideas.
I definitely like the idea about, how to stay safe and having it open, just coming from that side. But I like things like a did you know session. Like, did you know? And then give them something that may have been probably not one of the 10 violations, but something that is probably rare that happens, but still people need to be reminded of. So I would kind of call that like, did you know? And then give them either the policy, procedure, statistics, something like that.
Great idea. We could even do that through our listservs as well. We could come up with a whole plan of did you knows.
And even the TikTok, like all the social media, because that's something that can be quick and doesn't have to take a full on everybody log in and let's just do this. I like the idea of Facebook Live because it doesn't require you to stop, log in. A lot of people get notifications. You just press one button and it pulls up.
I have a larger question around outreach generally. Do we mostly do direct outreach, or do we do media as well?
We do media when we can, or not so much when we can. We would do it whenever we wanted to. It's just that it depends on when the media outlets are interested. I can tell you, like a few years back, we did a whole campaign on safe sandal season. We'll be ramping up again for that. We do it every year because people are starting to get more pedicures as the weather will maybe someday up in here in Northern California, we'll see the sun again. And I've done a lot of live media. We've done some Spanish speaking media where we've had some of our Spanish speaking staff do actual live reports at salons that'll work with us, and the media interviews. Like we've had one of our inspectors interviewed at a salon where they show kind of, here's what you look for. So it just depends on if the media wants to engage with us right now. We're currently working on a press release for going to simplified Chinese in our exams. So we're hoping to get something from that. In the next few weeks, we'll be working on a potential joint press release with the Bureau of Private Post-Secondary for a successful investigation that we're just completing on a school. And we think that media would love to have more media coverage on that so that we can get that message out that the board and the Bureau are working together. So it's just hit and miss if we get any responses from the media outlets.
And with the media, does that come through ourselves, or does it come through the larger DCA world?
DCA it comes through DCA. So they'll usually work with us. And actually, I'm being told we lost Tanya right now. So we're going to let her
I'm here.
Oh, she's here. Okay. We do have a public information office at DCA. So they are the ones who they write the press releases for us. They contact the media. They handle any media calls. And so that, yes, goes through DCA.
Okay. And does that also include targeted media, like not specific community media, or is it more large scale newspapers, or is it community newspapers as well?
It's both, but we have definitely reached out ourselves in the past to some community media outlets. We've done a lot of work in the past with several different Vietnamese publications down in Southern California to really get some messages out into that community. So we've done some of that and some of the smaller ones, and we certainly can do that as well. I usually tend to get DCAs in on that as well. They're super happy to help us, and it's kind of their expertise at their classifications with the state are actually media centered. So, but yeah, we can reach out to anyone we want. We just usually involve DCA in the process.
Okay. Here, sort of going in a direction, and I appreciate the answers to these questions. I'm thinking in particular, the new Chinese language opportunities that we have is actually a huge media opportunity within the Chinese press. And whether or not we have those connections directly or not, there is also the API Legislative Caucus that has members who are very involved in communicating with their constituents. And perhaps DCA or someone could reach out to the caucus and talk about this new program within the Chinese language community. And it may be that something that the legislators themselves might want to help promote. In particular, yes. Legislators do 199s, which are letters out to constituents about new programs, new opportunities, and it could be something that each of those legislators might want to promote to their constituents in their area. But also, it could be something that we could work with the local Chinese press in the North Bay as well as, or the Bay Area, as well as down in Los Angeles and other places where it might be critical. And so those are just some thoughts off the top of my head that I think might be interesting. I also think that we may want to do more outreach in Spanish with Spanish media in particular, because of our testing rates are difficult in those areas, and it might be helpful for us to connect with Spanish-speaking media to promote how-to questions or other stuff like that, or just general where to get more information. And I don't want to hold up Colette, who's had her hand up for a while, but those are just some thoughts I'm thinking through as we talk about this.
That's great. Great information.
Cool. Thank you, Reese. Thank you, Tanya. Actually, I wanted to kind of add on to what Tanya was saying about TikTok, and there's also Instagram Reels, because again, kind of like with the text messaging, you kind of want to meet people where they are, and using bite-sized, quick information tends to reach a larger audience. Just from my own clientele that come in, a lot of them get a lot of their education from TikTok, and they'll ask me a lot of questions. I have to do a lot of debunking during consultations or even just sessions. So a lot of having, the board kind of have that as a really great tool, because just in the larger world right now, doing kind of tabling at events, flyers and brochures are not so I guess you could say what's really happening now. Because if you look at public libraries, they do a lot of virtual programming. The programming that they're doing is pretty dynamic. They're trying different avenues to reach people where they are. So I kind of feel like that's where the board has to go, since we don't have like everyone's email list and everyone's phone number. And some potential things to really talk about, I feel like in outreach, is scope of practice, which is very, very helpful, because a lot of folks don't really know what they can do and not do. If you look at some of the groups online, a lot of the questions they ask, they just don't know, oh, can I do this? And so that I feel like is very helpful. In my own world, in the electrology world, explaining kind of even in bite-sized chunks what electrology is would be also very useful, because the majority of people don't know what we do. And since we are kind of a small community, again, I get a lot of people thinking I do laser or whatever. So I feel help on that realm would be really useful, because a lot of people are just really curious about it. They want to know. And that's kind of my thoughts on it.
Great information.
I think that's all. Everyone's input has just been great, because when it comes to education and outreach, we don't want to, this is going crazy. We don't want to, leave anyone out. So I'm sure we come up with additional ideas and different avenues that would be very helpful for Christy and the board to just really encompass all and make sure there's no scope left behind, as I would say.
Super helpful. I just, want to say that, we're always learning more, and we always push our staff to learn more every day, which includes myself. I mean, I've been around a long time, so we tend to get stuck in our ways. And so this is super helpful of different ways we could outreach and reach our licensees. We also work with DCA, just so you know, on trying to outreach consumers more. And I'm on a cabinet meeting, executive officers cabinet, with the director, and it's something that boards are always talking about, is how do we reach consumers better? So hopefully we'll be seeing some more of that coming our way as well. We'll get some of those ideas.
I'd just like to add one more thing to what I was talking about earlier. I worked for 9 years in a district office of a state legislator, both in the Assembly and Senate. And we worked in the district office, was focused on community outreach and for the member. And there were a number of ways we did community outreach along the lines of what I mentioned about the 199s earlier, which are letters sent directly to constituents about state issues of importance. But we also did newsletters, promotions, other things. And we were always looking for things just like this to promote in the community, to say there's going to be a town hall, or they are, find out more information from your Chinese media, that kind of thing. In particular, here in San Francisco, we were always working with the Chinese community media in ways that were direct with the community. And so I think if you all or DCA want to connect with a larger program in working with, and having the legislature help us with outreach, it's certainly something that I know they would be very interested in helping with, because it gives them reasons to write in a newsletter that something's up to date or what have you. And in particular, that could help as well with our with the community caucuses, the API, Latino, et cetera, African American, and so forth, that might be able to help, in particular, with outreach to the communities they're in.
Great. Super helpful.
Thank you, everyone. That was good. That was good. That's some really good information from everyone. Chrissy, did you get what you needed, or is...
I did. The only thing you need to do, we don't need a motion on this, but we would do public comment.
That was my next thought.
I figured it was.
At this time, we will open this up for public comment.
This is the moderator, and at the direction of the committee, I've opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen, or use the raise hand function. And it looks like we have a request for comment from Wendy Cochran. Wendy, you'll be given 2 minutes to speak and a 15-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Good morning again. You might recall from listening to the news that TikTok may be problematic because it is problematic on federal employees' phones and things like that. So I don't know that I would rely on TikTok that much at this time. You can look into the news and see what's going on with that across the country and with the current administration. And I'd like to thank Christy for attending an event that we're going to have that will have a compliance roundtable in Northern California at the NASN Pro Show. I feel the opportunity for in-person education is going to be really important. And because I feel that they will probably be a little bit more candid in asking their questions. And I believe that their comprehension will also be a lot greater if it is actually in person. So other shows to consider, obviously, she'll be at Premiere and the NASN Pro Show in November, but also the Face and Body Show that is in Sacramento. So you don't have to go all the way out to San Jose this year. So, smaller educational opportunities like what we presented last year and Christy attended for the California Aesthetic Alliance down in Ventura. We outsold and oversold the event. People just showed up randomly and expected to get in. A great compliance event that went over what our scope of practice was, what the changes in SB 803 were, and that sort of thing. And they had an opportunity. They were really thrilled to speak with Christy. They were also thrilled to speak with her privately via Zoom in my group. We were very
15 seconds.
And so I feel like live one-on-ones are going to be also important as well. Thank you.
All right, this is the moderator. Our next individual who's requested a public comment is Jamie Schrebeck. And Jamie, you'll be given 2 minutes to speak and a 15-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
I wanted to extend that thanks to Christy Underwood and staff for making those appearances possible, emphasizing the one in Premier Anaheim, which will be April 2nd and 3rd. So that'll be before the next board meeting. And Ms. Underwood has a class titled Staying Safe in California scheduled for Sunday from 10 to 11 a.m. And if we're talking about capturing commentary and video, it would be wonderful if the board could arrange to have. Thank you.
All right, this is the moderator. It appears there are no further requests for public comment. Would you like me to close that Q&A panel?
Yes. I feel like my connection is being spotty again. Okay, now we're on, since there's no vote because there was nothing. Okay, we can move to item agenda number 6. For a review of changes to our website, I will turn it back over to Christy.
All right, so this is just a quick update that we wanted to let the committee know. We've been talking in the past about updating our website, and we have implemented some of those changes. On February 9th, our new changes went live. There's now a popular pages box that we have that you can see right on our homepage. We did a little demo of it in your packet. And there's additional resource page and a publications page separate from the forms and publications page, because that's something that we had seen we're having maybe some issues. And so the key information is at the top of the screen. So we're hoping that it's easier to find. And we'll monitor our website to see how those hits go, to see if maybe we're getting some more traction on some of those spots. But as always, if anyone sees any information when you're out there looking at our website, we welcome any recommendations on how we could make it more user-friendly.
Thank you, Christy. At this point, next we will open up for public comment on any items not on our agenda.
This is the moderator, and at the direction of the committee, I've opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen, or use the raise hand function. And I'll go ahead and pause a moment to allow the public time to access these features and submit their requests. All right, and seeing none, would you like me to close that Q&A panel?
Yes, thank you. At this time, I'm going to ask the committee members if anyone has any suggestions for any future committee meeting items. If not, then I will say this meeting will be adjourned. Thank you, everyone. So great to see everyone.